Hello everyone, it's Tonya with Scribbles in Time. I'm going to do a flip through of my latest journal, and I will put timestamps below for the different parts of the process of flipping through this. But I do want to start off by addressing a few people who had messaged me about doing custom orders. I do not do custom orders, and I wanted to comment right now about that because the people who had reached out asking for a Lily of the Valley journal, I had told them I wasn't doing custom orders, and also that I couldn't do another Lily of the Valley journal. And I wanted to explain that there is a local boutique that was able to get a couple more of these pens. I did not have any more of the pens, and there was a local boutique I was able to get a couple of more, and I decided I was going to make myself one. And I started on making myself the journal, and then decided to go ahead and make one and post it because I had so many people reaching out and asking, and I thought I need to do it, but I'm just not going to do it in the format of a custom order. And the reason for that is because for me, it just messes with my mind. I can't really put any words to that, and it's very hard when I'm typing my response out in a typed format. Y'all know I'm a talker, and so I do better when I explain things. So it just puts boundaries on me. It puts boundaries on my process when I'm trying to fit someone else's style. I always feel like I'm needing to make sure I don't use things that are not their style. So I try to get an idea of their style, of colors they like. Well, then when I start doing that, it kind of creates a issue where as I'm working, I start trying to think about, is this something that they would like, and, you know, try to stay within a budget, try to do this, try to do that. And it ends up just putting boundaries on what I'm doing in my thought process. So I just can't do it. And I applaud those who can. I wish that my mind did that. I actually have a request right now for someone to do me a custom order, and they're doing it. And I think it's awesome that some people can do that. For me, it just messes with my head, and I can't explain it. But I wanted to try to put it into words because for the people who reached out asking, I was not trying to put you off. I did not know I was going to get some more of the Lily of the Valley journals. So what I've decided to do is I did make one to sell. I stopped. I started making this for myself, and I had to stop because I was deciding at that point to make one to post. So I was going to try to do mine and that one at the same time. And I found myself just having thoughts again that I don't like. The one I make myself is going to have a lot of personal family stuff in it. And I found myself as I was going through the stuff I had pulled, I almost felt like I was being greedy or something because there were things like these buttons. I know that means they just look like little buttons, but I had been holding on to them for a long time and had decided to use them on my journal when I was starting on my cover. And I almost felt like I was wanting to pull these off and keep them for the one I was going to make for myself. And I felt greedy about that. And so I stopped and focused on only the one. So I'm going to go back. If this one doesn't sell, I'll keep it and I'll incorporate all my little family stuff into it. If it does sell, then fine, I'll make myself another one. But I was trying to just explain where my mind was and my thought process. So what I've decided to do is I'll go in the order of the people who had requested one, and I will send them a couple of pictures of this one. If they are interested, they will get first option to purchase in that order. And then I'm probably only going to do that for three. The three people that I had told them I would not do another Lily of the Valley, I'm probably only going to send that to them because I feel like they were very specific on wanting that. So I'm going to send the three people that in the order that I got the request, and if it goes through those three and it doesn't sell, then it'll be posted for sale. You can also reach out to me on scribblesintime@gmail.com, or I am ScribblesInTime on Etsy. So let's get started. I tried to make an interactive cover, and for me it is interactive. It's kind of different. And I like it displayed like this, but I wanted to do options. When I thought I was making it for myself, I was trying to think of ways that I could display this And then, you know, in 6 months or a year, if I get kind of tired of the same look, I can alter it a little bit without having to undo it. So I played around with doing an interactive cover. So I want to talk about that a little bit and explain what I mean by that. So I had picked out my favorite autograph album to use in mine, and it's just a cool album. I read every single page, which I've read all of them, but it just, I don't know, this one just struck home. And it belonged to a girl named Ellie. And we are watching a series right now where one of the main characters' name is Ellie. And it was just so, it was just one of those things where I love it when things happen and they all line up together, I guess is what I'm trying to say in summary. So it just was fun. Little things kept happening as I was making this that just felt like it was so meant to be. So here we are. I've displayed it like this for the purpose of the introduction on this video. There are options. Let's talk about it like this first, and then I'll show you the options. So, as I was saying, this autograph album is what dictated everything about the cover for me. And the reason why is it was my favorite autograph album, and it runs horizontal. So, you can see that the picture is horizontal on it, and it's not, I mean, the picture is cool, but it's not the reason that I fell in love with this autograph album. With that being said, I didn't want to alter it. I didn't want to turn it sideways and cover the picture and then have the picture sideways. I wanted it to be horizontal and displayed just like that. So that caused this to stick out farther than what my layering is supposed to do on the cover. You can see that it pokes all the way out to here. So I broadened my spine to offset that and help center everything up. I added this brass embellishment here. I think they call that a brass stamp. I don't really know. I forget what they call these. But I have several of them. I'm going to do up some kits, and my mind is to call it Grandpa's Junk Drawer kits, because I use so much stuff that I think of as being kind of masculine, a lot of metal stuff and things like that. And I love the thought of a junk drawer and just the different little treasures you can find inside of a junk drawer, because I don't know about y'all, but when I drop stuff in my junk drawer, it's stuff that I don't want to lose or forget that I have, and I throw it in there and then I forever forget it. And so when you start going through a junk drawer, you come across things that you had meant to hold on to, but yet you've forgotten about them, and you find out that it's all just cool to you. So I'm going to do up some kits, and I think call them Grandpa's Junk Drawer. So with that being said, I'll try to put some of those in the kits, but yeah, reach out to me if you're interested about that. Otherwise, be watching my Etsy. I'll try to get some posted. I have a whole box of stuff I plan on making the kits out of. I attached one of these here, and from the center of it, I braided these cords, and I just did it very sloppy with different pieces of twine and strings and lace and all kind of stuff poking out of the braids. And then I attached all these little things. There's a little glass bead there, iridescent look. The different little pieces of the cords that I braided. There's some of the wax linen thread running through there. This is a real shell, and I've just gone through a hole that I drilled into the shell. And then I attached a piece of lace to the end of it so that it wouldn't pull through. And there's a glass bead. And then this stone is iridescent. On this one, I've attached this beautiful piece of quartz. You can see that it has this green in the center of it, kind of a gray-green color showing, and I love them. I love those. And so I attached a glass green bead, teardrop shaped, and then a glass chandelier bead and some more little stone beads there. All of that hangs down the side, and you'll see that the side is very layered and grungy, and to me that just adds such whimsical charms, literally charms, to the personality of the journal, and I love that. I love that it adds dimension and personality and quirkiness. So the frame here I've grunged up and put the Lily of the Valley pen. This pen does have all of the dangles. I started to take one off so I could use the spot to stitch like I had done with the others, but I didn't. So yeah, it does have the little dangles on it. The piece of the spine here is from this burgundy book cover, and it's American poetry. This book, I believe, is from the late 1800s, and the spine was absolutely falling apart. So I used that part of the spine there, and then the strings from inside of that I've pulled off and put across here, because you can see the way they used to do old books like that. There's paper attached to it, and I love it. Love it, love it. So I wanted that to show. I put that across there. Here's one of the map, I think they call those map tacks. You put them on a map when you're wanting to mark a spot, and it had a glass green head on it, which pulled from the green of the leaves of the lily of the valley. And then down here I added just a piece of a green stamp. And so when you're looking at it, I know it's so hard to see on camera, but especially because my lighting is horrible. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, green, 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 and it's like 3 spots. So that 3 kind of anchors the pen. And when you do it in an odd number like that, it doesn't distract the eye. So I hope that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but I put different little strings poking up from behind the piece of the spine, pieces of lace, string there. And then behind all of that, I layered all of this paper and string. And this right here was on the inside cover of this book. You'll be able to see that in just a moment where I tore it off. But I cut that off because I didn't want to cover it up. That's part of the book's life and part of the book's history. And I just love, you know, not losing that. And so I put it there where it's kind of layered behind all of that. And it basically said something about this is the property of whatever library, and please read it and return it, that kind of thing. And I just kind of like that it saved a portion of that book's, you know, history right there. Here is a stick, and I've used this gold tone wire to wrap around the stick. I went all the way through the book covers and secured the wire on the back, on the inside, so it's not going anywhere. You can see where I've put the holes in the cover and fed the wire through. And then on each of these covers, I built these feet to create these pockets. And that's what I'll be showing you in just a minute that makes this one interactive. So it has all these little pockets hidden in between the book covers. The stick I kind of tied together with some of that string trim right there. And then over here, my gold buttons. I had 4 of them. I used all 4 here. So here's 2 of them with these little loops that has a removable grungy paintbrush right there. And then as you wrap around to the spine, I had to really embellish the spine a little bit because I had to make the spine so big to offset the wideness of the autograph album there. So this is a piece of leather, and I went over that with some of the whites to give it kind of that gold tone, or kind of that antique bronzy color to help tie it together somewhat with all of the other pieces and the elements on it. And then I hand stitched this zipper all around it just to add some quirkiness. And I just sloppy stitched it like that. The back of the journal has the other part of the cover of that burgundy book, and I made the loops with the gold buttons and ran a grungy ruler down that, and it is also removable. The corners I didn't bother to hide. I wanted this book to show its life of how worn it is. If anyone purchases this, they can go in and put corner protectors on that. I choose not to. For me, it shows the history of the book, and I love that. I like that it's tired. It's tired and finding a new life now. So that kind of explains the cover a little bit. I'll rotate it around so that you can see it from all the different angles. And then as far as measurements of this book, it's kind of just impossible. I'll lay this ruler here. That's 9 inches. And so when you have that autograph album poking out, you're kind of about 8.5. And then as far as the height of the book, we're somewhere around 9.5 with all the embellishments. And as far as the thickness, it's coming out at the 5. So it's thick, thick. Okay, Let's talk about the options. So when you open this journal up, I have made this little clipboard piece on the front. So this clips on, this is like a bulldog clip, and it's rusty and beautiful. And it clips on, I just close this autograph album up and clip it onto that to keep it from flopping around. I created this little pocket behind this by putting feet underneath the bottom and top of that book cover. So this slides out. Once I slide this out, you can see how pretty this is to display it just like that. I mean, it's pretty without even having the autograph album poking out. It's gorgeous just like that. If you displayed it like that, I would go in right here and kind of put the autograph album to where that gold pokes out at the top, and you can see it that way. So that is just an option for displaying it. This right here comes out, and it's a little notepad, and it kind of folds up. I did it kind of like a little flipping notebook like that. And it's just got grungy paper in it. And I've run the cord behind the back parts of the paper so that the cord is attached. You can snip that off if you want to. If you're going to use this on your clipboard and on the inside, you might would want to. But I just attach the cord to keep this from flopping around. And mainly I wanted the ends of this paper to act as a embellishment on the out part of the journal. It's beautiful to display it just like that, and you can add this paper on the inside to your clipboard, like so. And then it looks like an actual clipboard. It's got a rusty bulldog clip like I was explaining, and I screwed that in with a Phillips head screw all the way through the book covers. So it's not going anywhere. There's a screw there. I guess that's showing up. And then if you display it like that, it's pretty just like that. You can even pull this little tab out, and it's a little tab that says journal, and I've got that hinged in. It doesn't come all the way out. It's just like a interactive piece there, and it says journal on it. And then there's a little button here, so you can fold that out to show and display it like that. Now if you look on the side, you'll see that there's this real thick pocket here and a thinner one here. So if you wanted to display the photo album that way, I created it so that you can bunch all the pages towards the back of the autograph album, and you line up, oh, I'm sorry, I hit the camera. You line up the front into the skinnier slot and the back into the fatter slot, and then just slide it in like that. And to me, if you display it like that, you want to break up that black part right there. So I pulled this cord over onto the front, like so. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and open the journal up. Well, let's look real quick at the autograph album. This autograph album ranges in years. I think it's the first entry, I believe, is 1885, the earliest entry, I should say. I can't remember if it's the first one, but it's 1885 to, I think the latest entry I found was 1890 or 1895. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've actually opened this up and looked at it. That's 1885. See the beautiful handwriting. I love, love, love this autograph album. I know that there is one entry where a person who had written in it had passed away, and I think there's two, but I know for sure there's one where the person had passed away, and it was just kind of sad because she had written that they had passed, and she wrote the month and year that they had passed, and it had been like a year after they had written in it. You can see how I hinged all these papers together because this was falling apart. I mean, this thing's 140 years old, almost. So it's old, and I've hinged all the pages. I'm not going to sit and say that the hinges are going to last forever, but they'll last long enough for if a page starts to come out, you'll have time to go in there and reattach it with some tape or hinges yourself. But there's October 17th, 1885. There's 1890. I was trying to find the one where the person had passed away All of these little embellishments were already on there. I did not attach those. I didn't alter this in any way more than what I had to. I had to attach and hinge the pages because they were falling apart. I had to attach the cover better. It was falling apart. This whole thing was just on its last legs, and I've tried to secure it in a way to where it can be used. Oh, here's the entry. So, yeah. In your wreath of remembrance, twine one bud for your friend Carrie E. Bedorf, I guess. Junction, Pennsylvania, January 17th, 1886. And then like a year and a half later, they passed away. And so she put that right there. Passed away on July 30th, 1887. I want to think that there's one more. Yeah, right here. Here it is. This person passed away February the 8th, 1887. And they had just signed this October the 11th, 1885. And then they were gone a few months later. I just think that's, it's sad. It's kind of bittersweet. And I love that the person did document that kind of thing in here, because we would never know. So anyway, I think that's cool. We'll lay that to the side. When you open the journal up, again, the clipboard, I placed 2 green buttons here because for me, they're muted enough that they don't stand out too much, but yet they blend with this pretty burgundy fabric that I ran down the center of the spine. And then I just tied them off with the linen thread. They're not really functional. I did leave one loose enough that if you wanted to wrap something around the button just as a little charm or whatever, you can. And then here I did another bird's nest, and with the bird's nest I did attach some things. I left some things not attached so that if anyone purchases the journal, they can use this somehow throughout the journal. And I just tucked it into the bird's nest, and because it's, you know, so thick at the base, they stay in pretty well. Here is a 359 brass, I think these are hotel room door numbers is what I was told, and I put a key on that. And the bird's nest, just all of them are hinged. I've hinged everything, and I've tucked all kind of stuff in here for the person to use throughout the journal. And then I attached some things, but I attached them with the rusty staples so that they can be pulled out and used. And then I put like a little tab up here, and it's a piece of leather. I put it with the suede part out because when the journal's closed, it just adds a little personality to that. And then one of these old style pictures. It's not old, it's a reproduction of I think a postcard. And I just put that in there because I think it's such a cool picture. And that's the bird's nest. And then for the first section of the journal, because I didn't use a writing journal in the front, I had used the autograph album, which I'm going to go ahead and put back in place, I think, while we're talking. Let me take the paper pad off. And this just slides back in like this. And I clip it down like that. And we'll go ahead and slide this little notepad back in place. Get it all set back up. And to slide that in, I do pull the cords down like that. And I slide it in that way. Okay. So because it didn't have a writing journal here like most of my style journals do, the first signature of this I have tied together, and it's a writing journal. And so here is this macrame piece, and I attached it to this really cool, I guess this is some type of crochet piece. And I got a whole bunch of this at an antique shop in a neighboring town, and I am in love with it. They're just in balls, just wrapped up together, and they are so cool. In all different colors. Some of them have the red in it, some don't. I just love them. But on the first page of this is like a little writing journal here. It says he builds beauty from the ashes. I love that. And yeah, this is just kind of like a little writing journal. The theme of this, so much of this journal for me, or at least my mindset, was mountains. I do love mountains. I love earth. I love anything that's earthy. And so yeah, for some reason the theme for me was mountains. I'm going to go through and do a sketch in this of a mountain. I had been pulled to do that, and so I'm going to do that in this journal. Up on the top is some wooden beads and some pretty lace on this macrame piece. And yeah, I think I'm going to do a picture of a mountain in here. I just feel pulled to do it, and I hope it turns out, since I'm not showing it on camera. This is a canvas pouch. It has a little green glass bead there with the gold embellishment and a bell. Let me spin it around. Bell there. I put all kind of things inside of this pouch that can be used throughout the journal. Oh, I'm sorry, and this one's the notebook. I put the other stuff back here in this pocket. This is a grungy notebook. Again, just more writing space, because it didn't have the writing journal at the front. I had just put this grunged up notebook. And another thing I almost did with this, I almost attached it instead of the spring that I sometimes use in my journals. I almost attached this to the edge, because it could so be used to hang charms from right there. But then it's harder to write in, so I decided not to do that. But if somebody does get the journal and they fill this up with writing, they can write all in it and then attach it if they choose to. But I put this right inside of this canvas bag. I wrote a whole note here on the canvas bag, and it was just kind of a private thought that I was having. And because it's private, I then washed it away, but just enough so that you can still see that something was written there. And I like that, because for me, it's just a little secret that I have of something I wrote. I know what it was, and it's in here, and it's part of this journal. And if it goes to a new home, it'll be part of that home, even though the person can't read it. And I know that sounds weird. I hear the weirdness when I'm saying the words, but for me, it's like a little secret message that I have, and I love that. Down here is a gold tone zipper pull hanging out from that writing journal. So when the journal's closed, that shows, and I love that a lot, because against the gold zipper that I did down the spine, that gold zipper pull just kind of goes along with that. In between this, you can see the burgundy fabric. The lighting's so bad you might not be able to see it, but there is burgundy fabric that I had used on the inside of the spine. And so it is so pretty. It's burgundy and green, and you can see it in between the signatures. Here is a lace doily. This is watercolor paper, and a fabric tab that says bootlegger. This is a piece of like ledger style paper. And then here I did the paper ruffle coming down the edge of this page. A little bit of writing up there, and just some pretty paper there. Right here, oh, and I put this old crochet piece at the top to work as kind of a tab, and it shows from the outside of the journal. Now right here I did this. It's not really a typical press board, but it still works to be a press board. I actually used it already. But you can put it behind a page, and while it's not real hard, it's just a laminated page, it does help give you the support you need on the back of the paper. But again, this beautiful picture came out of an old book, and I do not know where I got it from. I didn't pull it out myself. I had it on my desk, and there is a mountain there. And then, I can't make this stuff up, my desk, I love to work with my desk full and covered, because I find things that I don't even know I'm looking for. And I had already had this mountain thing going, so I found this page on the desk and this picture on my desk, and it just felt so perfect. So this has the mountain and kind of an old scenery of people. And this, out of this book, which I'm trying to remember the name of the book. It was Curdie and the Princess and Curdie or something like that. But this talks about mountains. And of course, you can see the picture of the mountains there. And I know that I ramble, and I know that a lot of people, you know, want to hurry up and get to the flip through. But I just think this needs to be stressed. So I made a pocket there out of the like acetate paper. But I just thought this was so perfect. It talks about Curdie apparently worked, the son of Peter the miner. He lived with his father and mother in a cottage built on a mountain, and he worked with his father inside of the mountain. A mountain is a strange and awful thing in old times. Without knowing so much of their strangeness and awfulness as we do, as people do, I think is what it means. As people do, we're yet more afraid of mountains. But then somehow they had not come to see how beautiful they are as well as awful, and they hated them. And what people hate, they must fear. Now that we have learned to look at them with admiration, perhaps we do not always feel quite all enough of them. To me, they are beautiful terrors. And on the back, I love this. It says, I will try to tell you what they are. They are portions of the heart of the earth that have escaped from the dungeon down below and rushed up and out. For the heart of the earth is a great wallowing mass, not of blood as in the hearts of men and animals, but of glowing hot melted metals and stones. And as our hearts keep us alive, so that great lump of heat keeps the earth alive. It is a huge power of buried sunlight. That is what it is. Now think, out of that cauldron where all the bubbles would be as big as the Alps, if it could get room for its boiling, certain bubbles have bubbled out and escaped, up and away. And there they stand in the cool, cold sky, mountains. Think of the change, and you will no more wonder that there should be something awful about the very look of a mountain. From the darkness, for where the light has nothing to shine upon, it is much the same as darkness from the heat. From the endless tumult of boiling unrest, up with a sudden heavenward shoot into the wind, and the cold, and the starshine, and the cloak of snow that lies like ermine above the blue-green meal of the glaciers, and the great sun. And it went on, but I didn't have the other page, so I couldn't tell you what more it says. But I love this. It explains what a mountain is. It talks about back in the olden days how people feared them because they weren't inside of them. And I'm sure that is scary. In the center of this signature is a felt pom-pom ball. And then I just tucked this there because when the journal is closed, this looks pretty against that. And again, I already said I have this little pocket that I created out of the acetate, but it's so pretty. I hope it's showing on camera. I use this velvet tab that I got from Kathy at Rust Paper Scissors. Check her out. And then here is this little flip. And again, to me, this coordinated with that. It was on my desk, and I used it. And it says, for the world, I don't even know who these cards are. I did not purchase the card. Obviously, somebody sent it to me because I didn't purchase this. But it was on my desk, and I'm sure it came in Happy Mail. But it says, for the world unraveling. And then it says, transformation. And so there is an old stamp there. And then on this page, I just put this beautiful fabric ruffle coming down the edge. String. Didn't even realize that was on there. And then the other part of the lace doily. Here is the next section. And so here on this page, I created this little bit of a pocket. It's a very shallow pocket with this piece of a snippet roll. Again, Dee created this. And I slid into this little pocket a photo thing. And here is one of the worry stones. And for me, I've got it kind of stapled in there so that it wouldn't fall out. But for me, this just looks so earthy. I don't even know if I was going to try to slide it out, but there we go. It just looks so earthy. It's called a worry stone because it is designed to where you can actually hold it when you're feeling stress or worry, and it can be just kind of your reminder of whatever it is that your faith allows you, or your beliefs allow you. But for me, I just am I love earth, and I feel like God created earth for us and everything that's on it. And I love minerals and stones and that type of thing. So for me, it just was my little reminder of that. And so I have included that. I had it for my journal, but I have included that in here because it felt like the right thing to do. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful little touch, I think. That was a piece of the wallpaper that I got from Pam over at Tattered Paper and Lace. I'll try to link her below as well. But she does the coolest little pouches with all these cutouts from old wallpaper. And it's like little old advertisements, and I love them. So anyway, I tucked one in there. Again, that stuff can be taken out and attached to pages. There's a little lace fabric heart. And I try to put stuff in here so that the person, if anyone buys it, can make it their own. And so yeah, that stuff's in there. And then here is an old bag, and I just kind of folded the original handle down and did like a little collage here of just stuff that was laying on my desk. And inside of it, I put this little picture, and it can be attached on a page in case the person who gets this doesn't want to take advantage of the watercolor paper. If they don't sketch or paint, they can just attach pretty images to the pages. That my thought was just trying to provide stuff that someone can use if they don't draw or paint on this paper. I have put gesso on the paper. For me, the gesso allows a texture. You can't see it, but there's a texture that the gesso allows, and I love that when I'm drawing, because sometimes that texture creates extra dimension to the piece. If I don't want the texture, you just go over it with a sandpaper and sand that down so that you don't have the texture. I love the texture. And then on the inside of this bag, I lined it with some fabric. And this is the back of the bag. And I stitched on new handles. They don't look new, do they? And then the last page of the journal. This is the back, the inside of the back cover. I attached 2 vintage buttons. I love this one because it looks like somebody got paint on it or something. And that, again, is just personality. All right, that completes the flip through of this journal. I appreciate those of you that hung in there with me. Did not want to say this at the beginning of the video, but I am in the throes of a migraine. I've said it all. Every time I film a video, I talk about how I suffer from migraines. I'm in the throes of a migraine right now, and it's just not, it's a mild one, but it's just enough that it's got me feeling like I'm sounding sad. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope I didn't sound sad. It's a beautiful day outside. I have all the blinds open. I just am having a hard time with the light. So it's kind of dark in here because of that. Light is I'm very sensitive to light right now. Anyway, my apologies if I rambled too much. I wanted to explain every part of this journal. It means so much to me, and it means a lot that you hung in there and watched the video. I love all of you. Please know that you are loved. If I can be of any help, please reach out. Again, I've already told you my email and Etsy will be listed below. And yeah, y'all take care. Have a blessed day and know that you're loved.